Hello there, and welcome to Thank the Maker, a podcast about heroes, princesses, scoundrels, hokey religions, ancient weapons, and all things Star Wars. I'm Adam Russell.
I'm Nick Gambarian. What's up, everyone? I'm doing a point this week. Boom.
It's Mike Forster. This is an audio podcast, but also live on YouTube, so I will 2 points.
I forgot about that.
That's fine. That's great.
Try
Gentlemen,
new things, you know?
we are here only a few days before Halloween. What are you going to be for Halloween this year, you Halloweenies?
Do you have something, Adam?
Well, I'm probably, depending on what percentage you count a pair of boots at. Oh, that's sure playing again.
That's all the time we got this week, folks.
Yeah. Depending on what percentage you count a pair of boots to be, I am 100 minus that amount on my way to a full X-Wing pilot kit.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
which
pretty
would
good.
be the thing. But without the right boots, I don't know. And Jill and I wanted to do something together, so we might do Amy Lee and Baby Billy again.
Okay, that's a good one.
I like
Gonna
it.
get a wig tomorrow.
What about Mr. Jigsaw? That's
played
pretty
out.
good.
Also, that guy's not allowed within 1,000 feet of a school.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So let's talk about that briefly because I think that was a smashing success. Story of the Year premiered the official video. Yes, people, music videos are still definitely a thing when you do them as good as this one does. Gasoline, the first single off the new album Arson, has a music video that you shot in record time, and it turned out absolutely fantastic. Tell us about it.
Thanks, dude. We worked with our friend Jordan Phoenix again, who's done, I want to say 4 or 5 Story of the Year videos at this point. He and I co-directed, I wrote it, and it is a direct sequel to the song War. The video is from our last album on Tear Me to Pieces. And it's absurd, just like the first one. The first one was inspired by the film within a film. I think it's called Angels Live in Our Town. It's one of the Dirk Diggler movies inside Boogie Nights.
Perfect. This is like the movie inside Home Alone. Angels,
Yeah, exactly.
30 Wings or whatever it's called.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people compared it to Sabotage, but Boogie Nights was our inspiration. That's one of our favorite movies as a band. So it's like a bad 70s, 80s action movie vibe. This one, we went a little further into the 80s, and it was directly inspired by Commando, with some sprinklings of Scarface and Bad Boys 2 and 22 Jump Street. I actually did a previs for the whole thing by cutting those films together.
Amazing.
So anyone who's a fan of the band who's listened, who I asked to guess what movies it was inspired by, I just laid it all out. So it's an open book test, I guess. But we did it at a couple locations in St. Louis, some friends' houses, and it's like storm the mansion and get the bad guy billionaire kind of plot with lots of absurd, over the top 80s action movie stuff, like cutting a guy's arm off, unloading on a dude completely with like a minigun, like a giant Gatling gun at point blank range, grenades, all this kind of shit, just to go like arrest a guy ultimately. And we just go in and shoot up the whole place MacGruber style.
Sure.
And it was fun and chaotic and painful and awesome and all the things that it could be.
And obviously a huge shout out to Austin Romero for being the billionaire playboy. That I was joking in the comments because the live stream premiere was a lot of fun. A bunch of people showing their support before it premiered. And I was like, he is the Loki to the emo music video verse between being in Yellow Card's video and now yours. Right. So
now you got to get him in a Bayside video. We got to complete
the trifecta.
I'd love to. He should just play every part in Bayside. He should just be him, like 4 different versions of him, and we won't be in it at all.
He'd be game. I have a feeling.
Put costumes on for each of you.
Tall. He's too tall, actually. It'll never work.
Bayside's really tall in this video.
It's not that he's too tall; it's that we're too short.
Sure.
Hey,
I should
Adam, is your house busy for Halloween? Like, do you get a lot of trick or treaters?
We get almost zero. because we're on a cul-de-sac that's off kind of a major road. We've had candy probably half of the 10 years that we've been here. And I think total we've had a dozen trick-or-treaters in 10 years.
So then unless you have a party or something to go to, you don't really have to even dress up Friday.
Yeah, which is a bummer. Like I want to be forced to dress up. Last thing I'll say about the video though, real quick. Jason worked on the video. He did some sound design because there's some stuff in the intro and there's a part where it cuts away and there's some sync sound, like kind of Foley in, the music breaks for a moment. Jason did all that. He also did a full sound design, a full edit of the entire video, all the guns, everything, explosions, did the whole thing. It's just so much ammunition being fired the whole time that it was a little distracting. So we're going to use it for something else. It's badass. And also the co-star of the opposite Austin is the stunt woman named Meredith, who I got via Joanna Robinson. No, not Joanna Robinson. She's on The Ringer. Joanna Bennett, who is one of the many Mandoverse stunt people. She does. She mainly does The Armorer. So got a hold of her through Emily Swallow. She wasn't available, and I bounced around to a few different Star Wars stunt people because I really wanted to get somebody from Star Wars if that was possible. Obviously,
sure.
Ended up getting Meredith's number, and come to find out, she was the stunt double in 22 Jump Street for what's her name? She's from Workaholics. What's her name? You know her.
Oh, Jillian
Bell?
Not sure. Definitely Jillian though.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, she was her stunt double in 22 Jump Street. So the actual footage that I used in the previs is Meredith. So that was funny to find out. Anyway, she's great and she kicked ass. She played like 4 different parts. She kept putting on like a wig and a mustache, and she'd be like, this guy over here that gets shot, and then this one, and then she plays the co-star and then kicks our asses, and she was rad. So it's good times overall.
Wait, I want to see the director's cut. I want the full automatic version of the illegal version of Jason's cut, please.
Gasoline, full auto.
Yeah.
Desi and I are going to be Bob and Linda Belcher. I just wanted to do something like simple that kids would know, because last year we like crushed it with wrestlers, and only like I was Mankind, she was Undertaker, and only like the parents of the kids knew who we were. So I'm like, we crushed our costumes, but like didn't get like the respect, so I'm like, I just want to do Bob's Burgers because kids will know what that is, and I want the positivity. And I say it every year, we're like, we hand out candy from like 6 to like 9:30 straight. Like we just stand outside and are just like boom, 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 boom. Spend hundreds of dollars on candy. Yeah, it's pretty damn rad. And it's a Friday this year, so I can't imagine that's got to help, I guess.
I mean, you're right in the heart of like a gridded Orange County suburb.
Yeah.
So that's perfect.
And I think I get the vibe too that people come to Orange, where I live, to trick or treat. Like they come from other towns because it's just gridded and nice and easy to walk,
Is there a thing in the square or whatever that is? Do they do something?
Yeah, that's actually, they do it like every year, a day or two before Halloween, but I think I don't know if they're doing it Thursday or Friday. I think they're doing it Thursday, actually. Yeah, it's called like Treats in the Streets. So you could go to like all the restaurants and businesses in the circle and trick or treat, which is pretty cool. And they get people to like donate, candy and like all the whatever fire department and stuff. Like they all donate money or candy, which is pretty cool.
Sick.
That's wholesome.
Mike, how about you? Are you doing a dad costume? What's the vibe?
Yeah, my daughter is shocker, going as Rumi from K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yes.
I'm sure she'll be the only one out there with that costume on, despite me wearing my snow trooper on Saturday. We usually do our downtown trick-or-treat troop, as we call it. It's always a lot of fun. We always give extra candy and extra prizes to the kids who are dressed like stormtroopers and Darth Vader. that's what happens. Where
Wait, dude, did you say it's called? Is it called Troop or Treat?
No. But we call it that because it's always a trick or treat thing downtown. And so my daughter's going to be Rumi from K-pop Demon Hunters, and I'm going to go as one of the demons, one of the Saja boys, and it should be a lot of fun. It's supposed to be about 38 and raining though, so I'm not sure how long. Not sure.
It will literally be 91 degrees tomorrow. Like, it is going to be, I believe, 80 something degrees on Friday. Like, we're having a summer strikes back right now. Yeah, it's going to be 79 degrees on Friday.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Not here. Definitely not here. So trick or treat for us while I don't know. We'll see. It's fine. Halloween is always a toss up at this time of year in the location that we are. But regardless, it was great to put on the armor and go out and make people happy. And I always find it as my indicator of pop culture things, of like what kids are into.
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting segue.
Well, in Mike's neighborhood today. In Mike's neighborhood, they say trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good for frostbite.
That's right. That's right. So you're just giving gloves. You're giving so many pairs of gloves out to kids.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about things that kids love that rich boomers like to stomp all over and take big shits on. We're back since it's spooky season to scare children with our foul language as we talk about the Star Wars that could have been. We're back on the Bob Iger story. We've learned a lot. There's some news that dropped.
Yeah, more keeps coming out, right?
Yeah. This is from, I'm going to say 5 days ago. Our homies on the Dad Batch covered this quite a bit. A handful of rumors from Josh Lucas of Den of Nerds on YouTube. Big following there. Josh apparently has a very reliable source that has been pretty dead on, pretty well checked, continues to be reliable, and a handful of things about, well, all stemming from, I guess it was the Ben Solo, Hunt for Ben Solo movie news that broke the seal on this, it seems like. It seems that Bob Iger, according to Josh's source, has intentionally made Kathleen Kennedy his personal Star Wars scapegoat. And the majority of these things behind Lucasfilm's decisions that a lot of people are displeased with, or things that have underperformed, or, you name it, have been Bob Iger's decisions in spite of often unanimous backing of XYZ project. Pick something, of the things we're gonna name within Lucasfilm, including Filoni and Carrie Beck and Kathleen Kennedy herself. I could go down the list. Do you guys want to share anything first? Does anyone else want to start talking through this? Any feelings you guys have before we really dig in?
I'm not shocked. I think at the end of the day, it's what we talk about all the time. But at the end of the day, I guess he's the boss, right? It's Lucasfilm looking up to Disney, in the chain of command. So It doesn't shock me that, I guess we focus on Lucasfilm a lot here because it's obviously Star Wars centric podcast. So maybe we question, or the community as a whole questions, like Kathleen. I know we don't really, or Lucasfilm, but at the end of the day, it seems like all signs are pointing towards Bob and Disney being why we don't get what we want.
Yeah.
I think we should preface this by saying, I know that there's a lot of our listeners who have always appreciated that we have found positivity among a lot of things that honestly, I think a lot of us actually agree on. Ryan briefly touched on it last episode, where you can find a lot of really great things in something that you maybe didn't like other parts of it, right? And our podcast has always been able to find a lot of great moments in some things that we didn't like, and then also really love things that we do authentically like. And over the last couple months, I think where I don't want people to think that now we're turning into one of these podcasts that reports on unfounded rumors, that is over here trying to shovel coal and do all this stuff, because that's not who we are as people. We're actually almost opposite of that in some ways. But I think when you look at the system of the last year, we all went on the Star Cruiser together. Those were those things where we have no problem celebrating what I think honestly has been a massive home run in terms of overall for what Disney has injected into Star Wars, Marvel, a lot of their other properties, experiences at the park. Those are things that you can't deny that they are the biggest entertainment company outside of just being a studio, right? And so I think from that perspective, there have been leadership decisions, there have been personal decisions, there have been cowardly decisions where I think we're at a point now where we can feel comfortable calling some of these things out as people who are actually incredibly passionate about the people who work, supporting the work of people who work at Lucasfilm. And frankly, there's a lot of people that work at Disney that we've met that have been amazing. They're super passionate. I don't think there's been a single person that we've met at Lucasfilm that hasn't massively loved Star Wars and been a super fan and shown appreciation for people like us who show up every week to talk about why Star Wars still matters, despite it not being part of our daily discussion. I think to throw that in there in this discussion to quell some of the, I guess, uneasiness that we are not turning into a hateful podcast. But I think we're at a point now where if this information, I think the information, at least that it seems like has been put out there, is that like it can't totally be discredited. And there's certainly some things that are definitely seeming like they might add up, even if we don't know the full extent of it. But also, I work in a big organization. I know that a lot of times great decisions can happen between a small amount of people that don't make their way up to the top. I know how these things work. It can be very frustrating. It can be very difficult to say, yeah, we had this great idea and it never went anywhere. These people above us are idiots. The people below us aren't qualified enough, whatever you're going to say. But I think this discussion needs that intro, because I think for people who are like, wait a minute, they sound like they're frustrated. And I think it's okay to say that we are.
Yeah. To echo that a little bit, I still love everything that we've gotten in the era of Disney Star Wars. I love things more or less, depending on what it is. If I were to graph them all, that it wouldn't be a straight line, right?
Right.
Because ultimately, I love Star Wars, and new Star Wars stories are always exciting to me. And all of it, even when it's at its worst, is still so far above so much other sci-fi and fantasy content, storytelling that I have seen in the world that I ingest and also enjoy. And I'm thankful that we get this amount of Star Wars. That said, this, like, the double-edged sword of this era is that the money it takes to give us this amount of Star Wars comes from a giant international conglomerate, a corporation who is beholden to investors, which we've talked about before, honestly,
Right.
earnestly. And I think I remember bringing up on this podcast at some point not too long ago that it's impossible to judge Kathleen Kennedy's performance as the head of Lucasfilm, because prior to her, Lucasfilm was an indie studio. Yes, there was the Fox distribution, but Lucas operated like an indie. He made what he wanted. The buck stopped with him. The master, the maker himself, was in charge. You hand it over to someone like Kathleen Kennedy. Not only is she not George Lucas, but she's beholden to this massive corporation, the biggest entertainment company in the history of the world.
Right.
So it's unfair to judge her without judging on a massive curve, and without knowing the inner workings of all this. And it turns out now we do know quite a bit. So
Well, and
again,
two,
we don't want to go down the dark path, but there's some stuff that I think we can all rightfully be frustrated with and talk about that.
and I feel like a lot of people have felt over the last 10 years, especially, we have seen super successful companies go from being multi-million-dollar companies to billion-dollar companies to now somehow trillion-dollar companies. Like this,
Mhm.
this idea that we are seeing the crumbling of art at the top of the list for people who have gone to the parks. The price has never gone down, yet the attendance has never been higher.
Mhm.
For the properties, the ideas were put out more and more and more, despite people saying we're cool to be patient. Just make write a script, get all this stuff done. But it's been, hit them with the profit. Can we see the profits? Is Q1 looking good? Great.
Gains.
And gains. And I feel like that process has never been more transparent over the last 10 years. And I think everybody in some sense is feeling that, whether it's the AI boom or whether it's how, we're seeing less, we're seeing entire productions leave from Southern California to go hunt tax breaks. And so when you think about that from this entire ecosystem of what has made Star Wars such a special thing, we are getting to that point now where it is truly squeezing blood from a stone. And that comes from leadership, because we know that a lot of these corporations have never reaped more benefits from being able to be an entertainment company that's been able to basically, let hundreds of people go. It's cost of doing business. We're doing this. We're doing tax breaks and all this kind of stuff. Creative bookkeeping, right, is the dirty secret in Hollywood, and it is no different than any of our corporate structure currently here. So let's put that colored lens on and get into this discussion.
Here we go. Well, let's start at the top. This one, Iger wanted to cancel the Clone Wars, right? He didn't want season 7. He didn't want to wrap up the story. It was done in his mind. Just didn't see it, didn't get it. Kathleen Kennedy fought, almost risking her job, to have Filoni and crew finish their run. And they eventually struck this deal to let season 7 be made. But the original plan was for it to be 16 episodes rather than 12. Bob and company talked them down. The remaining 4, that arc would have been an adaptation of Darth Maul, the Son of Dathomir, the novel, which had Darth Maul against Palpatine. There's been a comic adaptation. But who knows? We've talked about why seasons are certain lengths before. In this case, it could have been, being as early as it was, it could have just been what they wanted to spend. Sometimes it seems like, getting it in time for awards season, different things like that. I would guess this one was a straight up budget thing. Like, fine, you can do it, but it's got to be 12. That's pretty frustrating. But at least we got season 7. We don't have to. We'll keep the pitchforks and torches on standby. Another idea that is, quote, completely Iger is the Mandalorian Grogu project. Apparently, it's unclear. I've heard conflicting things, but according to this Den of Nerds thing, the 4th season was turned into the film. There was
that tracks.
A full season of script.
Yeah. Being that, like, it was London Celebration, we got that announcement of like a Rey movie, the first Jedi movie, Dave Filoni wrapping up, the Mando verse. We haven't gotten any of those, and we're getting a Mando movie. I mean, that just sounds like the board. That sounds like Bob Iger being like, "We need a Star Wars movie. What's next? Put this in there." And I mean, we've also heard that he wanted to call it the Grogu movie. Like I could just see it right now, like the Goofy movie font. The Goofy, just the Grogu movie. Yeah. So
yeah, that does make a lot of sense timing wise, Nick. Like you're saying,
Yeah.
what's on the table? Let's wrap that up. Make it an hour and a half long. Put it in the theater.
Which also seems like money, like we need money, which is that never going to be a driver of innovation, like creative innovation. It's not going to. That's what worries me about the movie. But I mean, hopefully, Lucasfilm crushes it. But that's what worries me, is that it is an adventure of the week movie, and we still. Then we have to wait for Starfighter to see where that puts the story, So hopefully
30
I'm wrong.
years later.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we've talked about it. Obviously, like if there's one thing to get Star Wars back in theaters, which we all want, we all know we want that. The low hanging fruit is Mando and Grogu. It makes sense, but it's still. I guess in context is why it's so frustrating to hear.
Well, the frustration in as well is you're sitting here going, you have this team that was largely responsible for season 1, season 2, season 3. The last episode of The Mandalorian season 1, episode 12, 13, where he is attached to Moff Gideon's TIE fighter. And Gideon, it crashes, and like you see it show up, and it's the TIE Outlander that has these, basically retractable wings for the first time. I was struggling to be like, how is this not a 45-minute movie already? And so the idea that you would just add another 45 minutes onto this it's a head scratcher, because in many ways, between the Bryce Dallas Howard episode of the ATST, the Raiders, that thing was it felt like a T-Rex coming out of the woods. They crushed so many things in regards to how they were treating that property specifically. You're kind of sitting there going like, this, to Nick's point, the adventure of the week, we are all massively excited to see this movie, but you do have to wonder why the sudden change in strategy when the cost of Disney Plus is also going up. And now at this point, I think Fantastic Four comes out in 2 weeks. So you're almost sitting here going, is this the end of streaming as well? Which I know there's a point coming up later in the discussion, but like, you're kind of sitting here being like, hey, we know we expected you to go see this movie for $40 in the theater 6 months ago. Now you're going to be able to see it 6 months later on a much smaller screen. That's probably more disappointing. Where are we excited for Star Wars after Mando Grogu comes out? They want us to go to the parks that has Kylo Ren walking around, that they told us that he's not interesting enough to get his own movie. So you're just like, you're sitting here scratching your head at the approach of this, but this does sound like a CEO saying we want the experience back in the theaters, which I don't disagree with, but it does make you scratch your head at going, did they just take season 4 and condense it into an hour and a half movie, which you could actually take 2 of the best episodes of Mandalorian and smash them into one and go, is that the movie?
Yeah, and I don't think that's unlikely. It may very well be like literally the first 2 episodes. Because usually you've got the premiere that comes out and you're like, damn, I'm watching a movie.
The Crate Dragon episode was insane.
Yeah.
It was insane.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's just that. First 2, first 3. And, they up the budget. They do most of the things that they would want to do if they were doing a feature.
Right.
And there it is. You've got a feature. But to the question of why now, is this the end of streaming? Yada yada. I think more than anything, it's a straight numbers game. Like all these other decisions seem to have been, where we've got the cost of developing the technology of the volume of stagecraft amortized over the past however many series. It's now it's more than paid for itself. Now it's the cheapest way to make a Star Wars movie.
To
Like,
not go on location.
Yeah, you've got the Star Wars property that developed the technology, who's got this massive team that's fully entrenched in this workflow. That's the cheapest movie they could make by far, and it's their biggest cash cow character that hits the young audience. So
were there not reports that it was budget friendly? Like, what? I don't know why I vaguely remember there being like an actual number for the budget being out there and being like, oh yeah, that sounds low for a Star Wars movie.
I believe
that it was touting that. Someone needs to correct me on this. Jason's probably better at this. He's typing furiously backstage right now. It was the highest production entirely shot in California in history, I believe, if that's correct.
I'm sorry, I mean the movie coming up. I mean the movie. Was there a budget announced, or that's what you're talking about? Sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Gotcha.
It was for Southern California because it was shot entirely in California, and so it was the highest production ever done in California. If that's correct.
Wow.
And it was 166.4 million, which, when you think about it from the perspective of what people's expectations are, Game of Thrones, Dune, Blade Runner, all of these things that are essentially half CGI at this point. It is expensive, but to me, it just feels like modern cinema. And comparatively so, Jason's putting in here, The Rise of Skywalker cost 416 million to shoot.
So this is friendly. This is, if you double that as far as 166, if you double that for marketing and all that, which I think is kind of sort of the equation these days. Yeah, like this thing hits 500 million, we're good, and that seems fine for a Star Wars movie. Like that seems probably, I don't want to say average, but definitely doable. So that's probably the point here.
100%. 416 million for The Rise of Skywalker when it was filmed in 2018. 166 million in 2024 is actually way cheaper.
Yeah, right.
Comparatively, you know what I mean? So it does make you look at it and go, okay, I hope the expectation is this is deserving to be, and we have IMAX, they're shooting, and we know that, but you are sitting there going, man, I hope this is a blockbuster in every sense.
The silver lining is, and like shifting to positive town here, we've all been wanting to see The Mandalorian on the big screen. We've had so many of these series that do 3-episode premieres around the country, some of them just in LA, some of them in Celebration. The cinematic experience with these titles that are made just, quote, just for streaming is still pretty amazing. So I'm stoked that it's happening, because even if it is just the show, 3 episodes smashed into one feature-length thing with another 20% of production, even if it was only that, it would still be an awesome experience that we've all been missing for so long. It's just the motivation and the larger context in which we're learning this information, the fucking spreadsheet tactics, essentially, like the spreadsheet outlook rather than the creative outlook or the whatever, that makes it like desk pounding, furiously angry type shit.
Yeah. Like nothing enrages me more when someone makes bad decisions and then is comfortable making the next decision, like without consensus, hey, I know the last 9 decisions I made all sucked. Here's what we're doing next. Like that's what every facet of life, I'm like, listen to people, like actually listen to people, listen to your board members, listen to Kathleen, like whatever, because whatever you've done so far, if you're not happy with it to the point where, like, and I'm talking about Bob here, it's like, if these are all your decisions basically, and at the end of a 10-year run, you're like, we need to slow down because that didn't go well, then get off the horse, man. Listen to other people.
Right. But also, Stevie, Stevie and I talked about this after I listened to them report and basically have their comments on the same thing. A CEO having his fingers in the mix, instead of having Feige have the last say, Kathleen Kennedy have the last say. These are people who have lived and breathed the brands that they represent, the companies, not just Star Wars, Indiana Jones, ILM, all of these things. It does make you look at it and go, man, this sounds like a nightmare, especially for Kathleen Kennedy, to go, this is what our directors want. Unfortunately, the CEO of our parent company, this is what Stevie and I had also talked about. Bob Iger was a account manager for ABC in 1975. Star Wars came out in 1977 and absolutely changed, I'm sure, his perspective on what the modern blockbuster is. It left a profound impact on so many people that I can imagine the idea of not having your hand in the greatest film sci-fi franchise of all time feels alluring, feels like you want to be involved. But like the hubris of assuming that all the other people below it don't know as well as you do is crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Think about this too. Like he had to come back because Bob number 2 wasn't doing so hot. So he's got to be like untouchable at this point, because if Bob 2 wasn't doing well and there was somebody else to take over, they probably would have gotten somebody else to do it, you know? But the fact that they had to have Iger come back, he's on stop. Like when's he leaving? You know, like his term limits fucking forever.
This is Mecha Godzilla, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't like it.
Now you're gonna get it, Bobby.
I lost my train of thought because all I wanted was that Heavy Gilmore clip.
Got it.
Last thing I'll say, which applies to all of this, but the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is being made by a group of people who love Star Wars, and they're doing their best within the constraints that are handed down by their corporate overlords. So again, we're not complaining about the stories themselves, the content itself. We're complaining about the process and the corporate overlords, because still these people, like any of us, if we were given constraints to do anything, we would still put our heart and soul into whatever that is. If we're in some, soul-sucking job, that's a different thing. But if you're doing the thing that you're passionate about and you're given constraints, you still do the damn thing. So
right.
Bob Chapek, speaking of, along with Iger.
Wait, hang on. The other thing that we have to talk about real quick, we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
The 4th season was supposedly, quote unquote, completely done. Now, again, we all know how this goes. My coworkers and I
were completely done.
The scripts were completely done. My coworkers and I have had great ideas that we've written, ideas and proposals and all these things, and they don't go anywhere, right? So in our mind, what we wrote was completely done. It was absolute rock, it was a rock star plan, and it doesn't come to light. It's very easy to feel like you had a surefire bet that you don't know works, but you put a lot of energy into it, and your expertise helps you think, man, this is frustrating that I can't break through here, right? But according to the Den of Nerds bit, the 4th season had scripts that were completely done and would have featured heavily Boba Fett to, I don't want to say undo the mixed reception to his Book of Boba Fett character, but I would say more feature and allow for his character to breathe more in a settled Mandoverse, bigger galaxy experience, which I think would have been awesome. There were definitely at some point what I thought were to be very, very good proposals online where Boba Fett was actually supposed to be the Mandalore. We had talked about this on the podcast, with the idea of like the ultimate redemption was to say that, like, you know, your the true leadership does not need to be something that's passed down like a crown, and that for people to make the ultimate sacrifice doesn't have to be death. For Din, it could be fatherhood. It could be seeing that something is greater than yourself. And for Boba Fett to have the respect of the Mandalorians after being treated the way that he has been, that is the ultimate, you know, that's the war bond. That's the idea of saying we're putting our differences aside and we're trusting in leadership of quality, of making sure all people prosper despite it not being a royal choice, a royal blood. I love those ideas. So the fact that we are not getting, to our knowledge, aren't gonna get that far into it, because unless this is a 2.5 hour movie, and we can see how quickly 45 minutes goes by. Let's put 2 episodes together. You know, the Crate Dragon episode for Mandalorian season 2, episode 1 was about an hour long, and the plot didn't move that much further along other than introduce Cobb Vanth, which is great. But it does make you go, when the cinema is entertaining, it doesn't necessarily need to jam pack 4 different storylines in there. They've tried that before. It hasn't worked. So it does make you wonder, like, where is Boba Fett? Where is he? Where does he exist? What's the plan for him? Because right now it seems like a crazy thing to have a legacy character at this point sitting out there. And it sounds like John had a plan, and the CEO of the parent company decided we're going to switch gears.
John had a plan. Tem is just chomping at the bit to keep playing Boba.
Getting older every year.
Yep. Yeah, that's a head scratcher. All right. This is a quick one. Bob Iger and Bob Chapek also. We've mostly known this, but it's all but confirmed now. Stopped Obi-Wan Kenobi from being made as a movie, turned it into a Disney Plus show, smaller budget, stretched out the story. That was a no-brainer to me. Put that shit in theaters. I mean, I know we're talking about the pandemic here with all this stuff, but like, still, man. Here's one that really hurts and really makes sense. After the change in director for The Rise of Skywalker from Colin Trevorrow to J.J. Abrams after Carrie's death, Iger apparently refused to delay the release of the film, ending production, quote, 3 months early so that Episode 9 could make its release date. So not only, it's like the stakes couldn't be higher in terms of like storytelling and the fandom. Like, the matriarch of the franchise has died. Our princess is dead. And it's like, sorry, got to make that deadline. I got shareholders. Go fuck yourself, dude. Go fuck yourself. I'm so mad.
After like spending what did Jason just put in there, $16 million? It's like, rush it, dude. Like, you spent all this money, tank it now. It's unbelievable.
I remember reading an article with one of the editors that was literally sitting on set, getting the dailies and starting to edit the movie on set. And she was like, I have never seen this before. This is crazy. And that is when you started to realize, like, you know, as Ryan Key put it last week, there's a lot of amazing moments in that movie. And he's like, overall, it wasn't that good of a movie. And I'm one of those people who's like, to your point, Adam, any Star Wars is great. But I definitely, I don't put it up there as one of those movies that I do actually watch it. I rewatch it quite often. But it's definitely not my favorite. And when people point out those constructive criticisms, sometimes they're just straight up criticisms. That's one of those movies that I don't have a lot of, I don't put a lot of weight in my in my counter argument against it, because I see these stories and I go, man, this does reek of a corporate broom pushing people along. And that is it's super sad. And that being said,
go ahead.
I was going to say, that being said, on the positive side of things, it ended in a way that you could argue it's like the corporate playbook of being like, leave it as open as possible so the next person can come in and, like start the franchise over again. And I think in some ways that's actually a great thing, because I'm frankly quite excited for more Rey Skywalker. I'm
Yeah.
all in. Like, let's give
Yeah.
us more. I just wish we had it already.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to, which I don't think we're on course for right now. There is something to like giving it some time, and we're coming up on 10 years, right, of Force Awakens. Is that this year, or did that pass already?
This year, it already happened.
Yeah. So like that would have been good, like a decade after the Force Awakens and 5 years basically after the last time we saw Rey. That seems like the modern version of us having to wait from 83 to 99, which was 16 years, like truncated a little bit into a decade, and technically 5 years since we last saw the character. Like, don't make the same mistake where you wait so long that Rey and Finn are too old to do certain things anymore. But I mean, whatever. Another thing that really bums me out is anytime I come across a meme or something that like just disses like the decision to make her Rey Skywalker. I'm like, oh my God, dude. It is like literally she is taking the name, like this is the future of Star Wars. This is the way to make everyone who needs a Skywalker around to have a Skywalker in name, like it was such a good moment. And I see like hate out there of people like rolling their eyes and being like, why did they have to do this? I'm like, oh my God, like relax. It's actually really awesome.
Yeah. And I don't remember how we rated, where we each had Rise of Skywalker in our movie rankings. I don't know if all four of us even did that at that point. That may be too long ago in the podcast history that we didn't all do it. But I don't think it was in my top 5, but I love it. It's great. Are there things that I wish were different? Yeah. There's like, I can name maybe 2 or 3 movies that I've ever seen that I thought I would change nothing about this. Even my favorite film of all time.
Notes.
There are plenty of things like, I wouldn't have done that. That went kind of long. This, blah, blah, blah. That's the nature of anything. If you're a creative person, if you have any opinions about entertainment, you're going to have that. All that said, I still love the movie. The biggest thing for me is I remember hearing rumors of J.J. Abrams saying my movie was taken from me and how upset he was. He saw an edit that happened after they told him, no, you're done. Hands off. No more bets. They waved their hand across the roulette table. No more bets. And then he saw it and he was like, what the fuck happened? They took my movie from me.
I can't even imagine that feeling. Like, think about our version of that, Adam. Like, imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Being like, all right, wrapped up the album. And then you're like, all right, here it is. And you're like, what on earth is this? Like,
who is rapping on this?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because you think about, again, the stakes. J.J. Abrams, this dude who started this sequel trilogy with Carrie Fisher. We know how close they were. She dies. He's brought back in, given the opportunity to try to right the ship and do something to honor her legacy. Working with scraps, there's all this like heart and respect in this process. And it's not only like shoved into this unrealistic timeline, but to achieve that unrealistic end date within this timeline, it's ripped out of his hands. Like, what could have been if it was pushed back to to Christmas or the following May or whatever it was at that point, or if it was split into 2 movies, there were like extreme circumstances, Carrie dying is not like, oh, there was even compared to the pandemic, I'm sorry, Carrie Fisher dying is a bigger deal than the fucking pandemic.
Agreed.
When it comes to Star Wars,
especially the way they had the trilogy mapped out, where it was Han's movie, Luke's movie, Leia's movie, like brutal.
Yeah. Speaking of Luke's movie, There's some more about this later. Let's move on. I keep talking about this forever. This, I don't know if this came from this one, but I saw in another recent post. Apparently, Leslie Headland straight up confirmed the stranger in the Acolyte was absolutely meant to be the first Knight of Ren. Darth Plagueis was teased at the end because there was going to be some kind of seduction by him, dark side training, and then apparently some break where he goes down the path towards Palpatine, and Chimera creates the Knights of Ren.
Which we speculated literally just based off of the look of him, right? Like his helmet. Right. So, yeah. I mean, it was there.
Yeah. Makes sense. Would have been amazing. I thought the performance was sick. Thought the character was sick. There is a little bit of good news, but let's just go a little bit darker and deeper just for a moment. And then we have some voice messages from some patrons that we want to... Actually, hold on. How do you want to do this? Because we're approaching an hour. We got to do the bonus segment. You guys, you have the notes here. How do you think we should... What should we save for the patrons? What should we talk about right now?
Let's get the patrons on the main episode, like the voicemails on the episode, and then we could do this. This last thing is the Hollywood Reporter. Is that what you're talking about?
This is Iger's memoir.
Yeah, we could do that. That seems post-showy.
Let's do that because it's very interesting. And if you go back and reread it, it's from 2019. But if you go back and reread it, you're going to go, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Insert Dave Filoni meme.
Right.
Yeah, it's about his relationship with George Lucas, the agreement, the sort of handshake agreement, and the reality distortion field involved therein with the acquisition of Lucasfilm. It's it's interesting through a different lens now. But the bit of good news, question mark, maybe Rogue Squadron potentially headed to Disney Plus as a series. Who knows? This is from known reliable scooper, My Time to Shine. Hello on X via Fantatrax. Who knows if we've switched directors, writers, what? But supposedly it's going to be a Disney Plus series. I don't know. Top Gun in space. I'm down for it wherever it is, but it's a little bit sad.
We have been champions of a Ship Go Fast movie on this podcast for years. Originally, it was supposed to be a movie that was going to be directed by Patty Jenkins, whose father was a fighter pilot in Vietnam. It seemed like she was the perfect candidate for it. Wonder Woman 84 doesn't perform well. Hollywood gets scared. This gets pulled. Most of the slate that they announced at Disney for Investor Day, I believe that was 2019 or 2020 or whenever that was, most of those movies and shows have not come to fruition. So I like this conceptually that we're getting anything about this project, but I do worry based on all of the other things that we have talked about up until this point. Where is the Taika movie? Where is the Simon Kinberg movie? Where is the development in most of these? It makes sense that Disney Plus needs some content for Star Wars. That's for sure. And 2027 is going to be the year of Star Wars, which is exciting. But beyond nostalgia, as we talked about last week, nostalgia can end up inhibiting our ability to look forward. And that's what I'm getting worried about the more and more that time goes on.
Absolutely. All right, let's hear from the patrons. We asked the patrons how they feel about this whole situation, what they're looking forward to, what they're concerned about. This first one comes from our buddy Kevin Doom.
What's up, guys? It's Kevin Doom. So in regards to these squash projects, I'm mostly just worried that we'll stop seeing any shows take big swings in regards to storytelling. with the Acolyte's perceived failure and Skeleton Crew's mild reception, I feel like the company is a bit apprehensive to make stories that they feel wouldn't make money. And I hate to say that. I would really love to see Star Wars continue to take risks in storytelling. And I'm going to go with my tagline, make Rogue Squadron. Cast me, please. Love you guys. Take care.
Agreed, man. I was listening to The Big Picture, one of the Ringer podcasts recently, and they were talking about One Battle After Another, the new Paul Thomas Anderson film. And the budget that he was given, the size of film he made this essentially action movie in his style. And he spent a lot of money, I think over $100 million making this film. And he's not the kind of director that pulls box office numbers that justify that. But he's an auteur. He's one of the most respected living filmmakers. His movies long term make a lot of money, and they become cultural sort of tentpoles and pillars. You know, you think about Boogie Nights, you think about There Will Be Blood. He's given this opportunity, and the question in the podcast was, should he be expected to make the money back? Should he be expected for his film to turn a profit, given the kind of filmmaker that he is? Like, you think about what the concept of a loss leader and what the point of a record label or a movie studio taking such a large percentage of profits, like what that means and why they feel justified in doing it. It's that you can have all these stinkers that totally flop. Either they're good films that flop because they're just not for the mass market, or they're bad films that flop because they're bad. You have, you throw an Avengers Endgame in there and it's all paid for. And the idea is that you can make some great art in there without the obligation for it to make Endgame type money. And I think if we had all thought about Star Wars in this way 13 years ago when it was acquired by Disney, we would have thought, this is great because, and maybe George was thinking the same thing. Think about the amount of Star Wars we can get that doesn't all need to be the biggest box office shit of all time. Doesn't have to play with table stakes like that every single time, because this parent company now has all this money. There's money to spend on things that deserve to be seen, whether or not they're going to rake in cash. But it seems like we're at a stage of capitalism that no longer allows for that, to Kevin's point.
Just smash and grab money. It's the lefty socialist in me. Like, when I think about like America's exports, like its entertainment is huge, and it's just all being taken away. And where a country like Canada, I'm sure, Adam, you know this, like Canadian bands get like a stipend. Like they actually, if they're going, like they get money from the government to go to other countries as like an ambassador. Yeah. And then also to further that, there's a certain percentage that Canadian bands have to be on the radio in Canada. A
certain percentage of shit played on the airway has to be Canadian
bands. Yes. Yeah. So what that does is create like a baseline of culture, and that is important for a country. Like, if you're literally going to believe in borders and the globe and states and countries and all this stuff, like, don't you want there to be a baseline of what you do? Like, basically my point is, like, America, crumbling as it is, like, should be spending money on the culture, the export of Hollywood, and while we're at it, how about music too? But like, literally, like what American culture is to the world it's all getting homogenized into one thing. At the same time, like, everyone is demanding 100x profit. It's like, I just looked up while we were talking about PTA and like all this money, like Bob Iger made $41 million last year, significantly up from 2023. It's like, how about you make $8 million and the rest of that money goes into a budget for a movie? Like, how about that?
Yep.
No.
Well,
okay.
Think about it from this perspective too, Adam. I was thinking about the idea of what you had said, of where, does he deserve to lose his credentials as an amazing director who doesn't make any money, right? When you look back on it, I'm from Detroit, right? So think back to American muscle car culture. You think back about the still to this day, the Chevrolet Corvette is one of the coolest cars of all time, yet doesn't sell even close to what a Chevy Cavalier sold, right?
Yeah.
But the point is that Chevy said that is our premier, right? And we know that it's not going to sell a lot, but it has people who follow it. They follow the idea that like Chevy is a premier automobile manufacturer because they put time into design. They put into these things. They want every kid in America to have a poster of a Chevy Camaro, or they want a Corvette. They want that poster on the wall so that they can compete against the Lamborghinis of the world, so that they can say, look how cool we are. But the reality is most of those kids with something like that on their wall are going to buy something much more economical, that's cheaper, that works better for them than a freaking sports car that sits mostly in your garage the whole time. But the point is they lead with that. And so when you think about the concept of saying we have a visionary director that has an idea that wants to do something, that makes sense to everybody but seemingly Bob Iger, when David Fincher and when Adam Driver come to your door with a script and say, we have this idea. It's already, we have essentially, we're hoping the Corvette in a script.
Yeah.
And they're lobbying to say, we're going to focus on Chevy Cavaliers, but they're about as expensive as a Corvette anyways. So just be fine with it.
Yeah. What's extra frustrating is that Disney, being the size corporation they are, that has such a large spectrum, a large part of the entertainment spectrum that they work on, amusement parks, merchandising, TV, traditional TV, streaming, theatrical films, all this kind of different stuff. It's more it's a company like Apple in a way that has all these different things. They got physical products, they have services, they have the music wing, they have now their own TV and movie studio. The creative accounting that goes on within a company like Apple can hide things, like can create again a giant shitty company, but in some ways better, in some ways probably worse, can hide things like how much money they're losing, how much money they're just throwing into the wind with Apple TV, with the damn Vision Pro, because they have longer term goals, and either they want to achieve those by like creating like a supply chain thing that can help them. Like they put LiDAR on the iPads and made them more expensive just so they could make LiDAR cheaper. Not because the damn iPad needed it. It made it cool, it made it have these features, but they have this longer term goal. They make less money on it. They set it up for something else. That was partly the Vision Pro, partly the car project that got scrapped. They do all this creative shit and they just don't release the numbers on certain things so it doesn't look shitty to shareholders. They have Apple TV Plus strictly to be cool again, because they were cool when they had the iPod and they had the iPhone.
Money off that, right?
No,
like they cannot be making money on Apple
I think
TV.
They're actually losing money. I think it's...
But that's creative accounting, right?
Yeah,
like that's where we took a loss.
Yeah, it's like CDs in Best Buy. They sold them at a loss or whatever to get people to buy fucking washers and dryers. You just get them in the door. Disney has the parks, which is their biggest moneymaker. Why should they give a fuck about milking every last little drop of money out of the films? Like they're a different type of entertainment company. They're not, pick another movie studio. They're so much more than that. Yet here they are still doing this bullshit. None of us are accountants. None of us know shit about running a studio, but there are a few things you can see in broad brushstrokes that you can infer things from that make a little bit of sense, right? I don't think we're completely talking out of our asses.
No, and we're not. We're only speculating with the info that we have, but it just also seems like, we're talking about Star Wars here, and it seems funny to be like, Star Wars is losing money. Like they can't figure out how to make good Star Wars. It's like, it's not. It can't be that hard. Like it's literally the greatest franchise that ever existed, and you bought it. Like it can't be that hard. Like, come on, guys. Like that's the bottom line here. It can't be that hard.
But that's the thing, Nick. It has made money. They have made so much money with it. They just aren't making enough. They just aren't making enough to their standard.
They're not making the rich people rich enough.
It shouldn't be as simple as like, oh, we need $1 billion movie. It's like, how about you have a movie that makes $500 million and then you have a TV show, 2 streaming shows that made this X amount, merchandise is this amount, blah, blah, blah. And there you go. There's all your money. It's like, it can't just be these like, I mean, it's all like dick measuring contests, right? Like Bob Iger, like all these people want to be number one. And the only way they could picture to do that is hit grand slams all the time. And it's like, it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Yeah. Fucking home run derby gets boring after a while. Let's hear from OG Revenite.
Hey, what's up? It's OG Revenite in the Discord. As far as canceled projects go, it sucks that it's being operated this way because usually what Disney or Lucasfilm does is they transition projects into something else entirely. Like Obi-Wan and Boba Fett were originally supposed to be movies and they transitioned those into TV shows. Fine, that's great. So they're not wasting creative ideas and whatnot. But now they're just outright canceling projects. It just sucks. Like The Acolyte, there's definitely more story that could have been told. It just sucks to know that we're not going to see what happens, especially with finally getting a character like Darth Plagueis on screen. And now we're not going to see what direction they go with it. It's a terrible feeling as a fan. The hunt for Ben Solo, it sounds amazing. Like it would have been something fantastic. I have no doubts about that, especially with the producer involved and Adam Driver being super excited about it, which he, as far as we know, he just doesn't get excited like that about projects unless it's a really damn good script. Yeah, here we are. And now it's not going to happen, or at least, I mean, you never know. No one's ever really gone. Anyway, I have spoken. Have a good day.
Retweet, my dude.
Yeah.
Retweet.
That's a good point. I mean, and here, this is the most heartbreaking thing of all. Between all the people who've called in so far, us, all the people we've had on our show, these are people who are overly committed to Star Wars. And now you have people who are like, dude, we just want more. We just want more.
Yeah.
And we get these storylines that people are connecting to, despite what the internet is saying. And I know that The Acolyte was too expensive to make for their expectation. That's fine. Get someone in there to be like, it sounds like Soderbergh and Leslie Headland needed to team up. It sounds like they were like ready to like make something. They could have made something together under budget, whatever that would be. But I think, again, sure, it's like this project that got away from them financially. Where's the support? Where's the option to say, where is Acolyte saved? Where is the energy for that? And right now, knowing how hard Kathleen Kennedy had to lobby to get her storytellers to have their opportunity to save these incredible characters that now most of Star Wars is based off. When you think about it, that's crazy talk to me. That's what it took to convince the CEO of the company that just bought them. This is the right move.
Yeah, man.
And it just also sucks, like having like Plagueis in like what more could you want at this point than having Plagueis? And then you have Iger being like, how much money did we make off Darth Plagueis last year? $17? No, we're not doing any more Darth Plagueis. Like that's just how it's like, okay, yeah, no, don't, I guess we're never getting it.
Yeah. I mean, it could be worse. I was ranting about this when we heard the news that this show was canceled, that it is not at all canceled in the sense that series used to be canceled, where you'd be mid-season expecting to do 24, 22 episodes, whatever, get 9 in, and it's like, sorry, no more Battlestar Galactica or whatever the hell it is. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, the show V is done now. I just saw that. So yeah, it's not that. But who knows? Are we going to get there where we're going to be mid-season pulling the plug on shit? Is that the path we're going down? I mean, there's shorter seasons now, so it's different.
I guess it depends on production, though. Like if it's done, it's probably coming out. Like those 26 26 episode sitcoms that were in a studio in Burbank or whatever, you could just pull the plug on them, like they're still being made. So that
writing,
probably is
shooting,
like
and filming as they were.
yeah,
airing.
that's probably a decision to be like, shut that down right now. Like no more filming.
Yeah.
These are being delivered as like, full projects, but I don't know.
Yeah.
What do I know? I don't know anything.
Here's Physics Buddy Joe.
Hello there. This is Physics Buddy Joe again. I struggle with this conversation because I've basically had to let myself only pay attention to projects that are officially happening. Like until we see a trailer, and even then we've seen trailers for projects that haven't happened. So in order to not get myself disappointed, I'm just enjoying what we get and not looking forward to anything that is not official yet, because there's just so much art that would be awesome to get, and so much of Star Wars is art, and I'm happy to get a lot of that art. But unfortunately, the people who are making the decisions are talking about profit, and whenever you mix art and profit, you can't have both at the same time all the time. So unfortunately, the people making decisions are the profit people. And so it's hurting our art at this point. So it's very disappointing that we can't have a second season of Acolyte. I would love to see a second season of Kenobi, of so many of these awesome pieces of art that we've been able to enjoy. But unfortunately, we just have to enjoy what we enjoy. May the Force be with you.
Yeah, we're speaking the same language, my dude. This last one from Braden Graurock. I mean, we're all saying the same stuff. Let's hear it.
Hey, y'all, this is Braden. I am really, really disappointed in Disney, considering all the recent cancellations and projects that they've even put on hold. Last time I brought up that I was super excited about Rey Skywalker's movie in her temple and how she's gonna start a new generation of Jedi. I think it really sucks that Disney is putting that on hold. They've canceled so many other different opportunities and other projects, and I think that it's really disappointing that it's not just a problem with Disney that we're seeing. This is a problem across the industry. I recently watched an interview with Jamila Jamil, who is Tahani from The Good Place. And she talked about how now when they're making shows and different entertainment, they have to consider the second screen experience, which is essentially the fact that the viewer is not going to be paying attention at all because they're on their phone the entire time. And I think that really sucks because it takes away this possibility of enhanced storytelling and the opportunity for people to actually think about what stories are telling us. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, it's not an easy nut to crack. It's not a simple path to navigate. We're in a way we've reached the singularity in terms of like entertainment and culture. Like we can't see past the horizon anymore. Projecting shit, we can't do it like we did. And the entertainment companies are lost. That said, the promise of this type of economics that, Saint Reagan himself to all these conservative fucks gave us, 40 years ago, 45 years ago, whatever it was that you give them all the money and the resources and it all trickles down. Well, they still can't fucking figure it out.
Still waiting.
It's their problem. Those rich fucks, this whole fucking thing, so what do we do now? You guys fucking figure it out. Make this shit work or start paying people. Just upend the whole economic system. Something. I don't fucking know. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. It's just like this shit with the idea of like of development hell is a thing that's been part of Hollywood forever, right? Stuff gets, everyone thinks it's being made, then it's in turnaround, and before you know it, it's gone. It never existed. But Nick, to your point, It's the biggest entertainment company of all time, working with the biggest and richest fandom and IP universe of all time, the best that there ever has been, a true modern mythology. If you can't figure out how to make that work, off with their heads. Somebody is doing something wrong.
Well, I mean, I absolutely, but I think one thing that they're underestimating is the general malaise that society is starting to have, because everything is like an attack on your senses.
Yeah.
And I think that in a very we're made to protect ourselves, right? So if human nature is to protect yourself. So if your phone, I'm on my phone less these days because everything is so bad, and like that's not necessarily like the best thing. Like, of course, I'm keeping up with current events, but at the same time, Instagram is so bad that it's no longer fun. Like the internet is, everything is AI. I'm like, you're making me put this thing down, that like this phone that you want me to be addicted to, you're making me put it down. And that's just me, like that might just be you guys. That might be just some of our listeners. The thing to think about is that there's tens of millions of people. I'll only talk about America. There's tens of millions of people who are basically don't think that way, and those are the people that society is like leaning towards, because they're just churning, like wake up, go to work, give a big corporation your money, like that's it, like that's the life, like there's people, maybe because we're older, because we know how things used to be, we don't necessarily think that way. But I think as just a form of protection, I think that as like a society, a lot of people are going to just go outside. Because that's just, like, for lack of a better term, I'm starting to be that way, where I'm just like, I can't be on my phone right now. It's not productive. And sure, I want to like reach out and communicate and like have community with people, but it's becoming harder and harder to do. So I'm not going to be on my phone anymore. And that is the diminishing returns on this society that has been built this way. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
They can't tax the air just yet.
Have you guys heard the term
tax the air?
Enshittification?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Accurate.
Term coined by a dude named Cory Doctorow. This dude has written so many books. He writes like 2 books a year. It's crazy. He was just on Adam Ruins Everything, or sorry, Factually, the Adam Conover podcast. I first heard this term, I think, on The Verge. They were talking about Twitter. Everything's being enshittified now. This is a term that actually has meaning. It's well defined. It's a verb that can be conjugated. It's like there's a lot put into this word. It means something. He has a book called Enshittification: Why Everything Suddenly Got Worse and What to Do About It. Maybe we could put the link to the Adam Ruins Everything episode in the show notes. We're seeing it happen right now with all entertainment. And Nick, to your point, like, not only is Instagram full of bad news, which none of us should fully shut off from, we have to take breaks, of course, but the app experience itself sucks. So it's not just the bad content. It's like the thing is broken. It has been enshittified. It needs to be de-shittified. And I think the streamers somehow popped up and within 5 years have all been fucking enshittified. Jason, I'm so sorry for all the censoring you need to do on this episode.
Let it rip. We'll put an explicit label on it.
Yeah.
Don't censor it.
We can't get around it. So let's go to the post show. And again, we hope this lets out a little pressure. We hope you're able to have productive conversations about it. For everyone who is kind of considering, where do we look from here? We too are in that eyes on the horizon, but at least we feel good knowing that there's more coming. Our excitement for this has not waned. We just, in the weight of the world and how it feels right now, Man, wouldn't it be awesome if Star Wars just kicked ass from here on out?
That
Let me
and
end,
also
let me end with this real quick. For me, my last point. Maybe 3i Atlas is an alien technology, and we're all going to die until the next 2 months anyway. So,
well, I'll end with anyone who's listening right now. Just publicly apologize to Kathleen Kennedy, please and thank you. I won't say any more words. I could say so many, but I'll just say that.
Any last remaining Autobots out there?
Yes.
Apologize to Kathleen Kennedy.
Also, do not return to the temple. That time is over. To bring it back around. All right, everybody, we love you. Patrons, we'll see you in the bonus segment, and we'll just complain more. It's going to be great times. Love you. May the Force be with you. Thank the Maker is produced by Adam Russell and Jason Chiodo, and edited by Jason Chiodo. If you enjoy the podcast, you can support us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Or you can support us directly at patreon.com/thankthemakerpod, where you can get access to our Discord server, exclusive content, exclusive merch, and more. Our patrons literally make Thank the Maker possible.